Yo, what's up, everybody? Jaffer Cody here with my good friend, MrDarkPhoenix, and we're going to be cutting the shit about Spider-Man No Way Home. How are
Hello,
you doing,
everybody.
man? How have you been? Fill us in on all the blanks since you've been gone.
I've been so good. I've just been waiting for this movie, and I've just been good at trying to read comics. I just got the Switch OLED, and I've been enjoying that for these
So
past couple
how
of
would
days.
you say that is compared to like the older Switch? Would you say it's worth making the upgrade?
I mean, the screen definitely makes the colors pop, but I could definitely understand people's skepticism about spending $350 for a completely brand new Switch. So I would definitely say, I mean, it's Christmas, so try and get it as a gift. Hashtag not sponsored, but if you're really that much done with your Switch, I would just say try and maybe sell it to somebody at a discount price and pay less for it, because like that upgrade seems more like it should be like 200. So you're gonna sell your old Switch for like 150, 200 maybe, and then just do that. But the best part about the Switch OLED is that the Joy-Cons from the old Switch work on it. So I had a black one, so now I have an Oreo Switch OLED because I have
Oh,
white
that's
on one
cool.
side and
Yeah,
black on the other, right? Like,
yeah.
but this movie, this is going to be the non-spoilery part, just for people
Yep.
that haven't seen it yet, because it's already breaking records. But I will spoil one thing: the title for the next movie is going to be Spider-Man: No Way Out of Your Contract. So we've just got a lot of stuff to talk about. But this movie literally begins minutes after No Way Home, when Jake Gyllenhaal snitched on New York One. Shout out to my hometown, because that's my guy from New York
Yeah.
One. And he was like, Peter Parker's real name is Spider-Man. It's like the direct consequences of that. And it's just like it's so weird seeing how he got the last laugh in everything.
Yeah.
And this and from the beginning parts of that, it's just, adjusting to that kind of life. And I thought it did that part really well. I thought it
hmm
did what because this is what genuinely would happen, because they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do, they don't, there's nothing that can be done because everything's already been said and done. So it put him in that kind of peril where it's like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, I think having the movie follow like exactly like you could pretty much put these two movies back to back and it just plays perfectly. Right after Quentin Beck framed him and just let the world know. I thought that was awesome. I can't. Did they do that with Homecoming and then Far From Home as well?
No, after Homecoming, pretty much Far From Home starts after Endgame, technically. Because Far From Home starts with everybody returning from the blip.
Yeah.
So you can play, like, I mean, but then again, after Infinity War, it's gonna be everybody's separate stories anyway. But
I really liked how they did that, where it's like they started right where they ended it. For me, I thought that was really cool. I thought it was a. I'm trying to dance around what's spoiler and what's not. I think we could talk about Strange at least because that was in the trailer.
yeah,
I,
pretty
I,
much.
I I think him talking to Strange, because like you said, they were left with no other choice. Like I think it built upon his character's good. I think this movie really fleshed out the Peter Parker that we haven't got to see yet.
Yeah.
Because in Infinity War, he was the one that got blipped away. And then, you got to see him witness Tony Stark dying, of course. But this one really showcased Tom Holland's acting abilities. I felt out of all three, I felt Tom Holland's performance in this one was the best.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I do, because I mean, and people seem to forget about like a lot of Tom's critiques that people have, but they forget that he's playing a 16-year-old. So when people are like, oh, he should be doing this, I'm like, he's a literal teenager.
Yeah, he's a
And
kid.
think about all the stupid stuff we did when we were teenagers. Like, how would
So,
you at 16 would have handled this? So,
and his big thing is he always wants to do the right thing,
mm,
at no matter the cost. I remember I was watching this movie with Liv, and there was a couple parts where she's like, I don't understand why he did that. And I was like, that's because it's who he is. Like, he did this because, that's what he believes in is for the greater good. And, he's going to do whatever he can to make sure it happens. And I thought they really showcased that part of him really good too, showing just like his naive, the naive side of kids, and when they get taken advantage of and whatnot. I thought some of the twists in this were diabolical, sinister. um, I'm good. I'm happy you caught that. Shoo. But at the end of the day, I felt almost 80% of it, if not 90% of it, was predictable. We need to tread carefully here.
Yeah.
But in predictability, I mean, like when you're watching it, you're like, okay, I have a good feeling this is going to happen. The buildups were good, phenomenal. But I felt like you almost were expecting things to happen as they unfolded.
Yeah. Which, like, in some cases, a movie being predictable isn't necessarily like a bad thing. But in this case, it was like, okay, you pretty much knew what was going to happen, and like pretty much, we had all like done our theories and talked about it and stuff like that. And I know that sometimes they were like, oh, the trailers were just the tip of the iceberg, and then like a couple minutes into the movie, it's kind of like moving along those lines where it's like, okay, but like now I think I get the groove that the movie was trying to do. Not saying it was like bad or anything. I mean, we pretty much knew what was going to happen, and I like predictable, and I like when movies just go on like a straight narrow path and not have to worry about going big or like. Don't get me wrong, this movie went big, but at the same time, like the movie premise was really simple. Like, everything that happened, you knew was going to happen, but it was I enjoyed the ride still. Like for most parts. No, that was fine.
Oh. Yeah, I was gonna say there was 2 times where I had to use the restroom and I ran. You know what I mean? I ran because I was like, I do not want to miss what's coming up next. So even though, like I said, some of it I felt was predictable, I was along for the ride. I enjoyed every bit of it. I wanted to watch it a second time that day. Yeah. I overall felt like all the acting was on point too. I felt every character just like absolutely killed it in the role. Especially Tom Holland and MJ. Those two, I thought the dynamics of the relationship just kept getting deeper and deeper. And I just, anytime a Spider-Man movie can do that and can invoke all the emotions that this one did, I think it's a good one. I think this movie really hit it out the park, and I think the way they went about it was good. A lot of times when I watch a movie, I try to pinpoint like, they could have probably did it different here, probably different here. But I think the way they did this movie was intentional to make you like, oh man, like, like, oh, don't do that. Why are you doing that? Like, like
it's like, Peter, no, don't take the subway. It's chaotic enough as it is. But everything about this it's one of those movies where I just had a blast like the entire time. Like a movie that I've recently been doing led by with has been Shang-Chi. Like I find myself rewatching Shang-Chi like multiple times throughout the week.
He's only shirtless in it once.
I know. Like how could that happen? Don't worry, we've got sequels.
No, I really like the fight sequences in that, but I think that's another podcast within itself.
Oh yeah, like, and what I loved most about this movie was that it, for the non-spoilery part, it did a lot of things right, and it did a lot of good. Like, I feel like this was a better love letter than I feel like they were trying to do with Endgame, if that makes sense. Because Endgame's love letter was like, I mean, but then again, that was a whole culmination of the entirety of the MCU up until this point. So, when you have a more self-contained love letter that you want to do, it makes it a lot easier for you to do it. So I feel like No Way Home hit that out of the park too, where it's like you want to make this, love letter for the fans and for everything else, for everybody else. I think it did a really good job with that. And I enjoyed the fights. The actors were really well done and everything, and everyone was good. Like I said, like the Tom and Zendaya's chemistry worked really well also because they're dating in real life. So, but they still don't compare to Andrew and Gwen. I mean Andrew and Emma. I said Gwen. I could have said Andrew and Cruella, but
so I think MJ and Tom Holland's relationship has a lot more dynamic to it than Andrew and Emma.
I don't know, man. I mean, I am resident. I love Andrew Garfield. Like, he is my king. Like, And I love Tom too, I do. But for a different reason, because like I love Andrew because Andrew Spider-Man gave me something like really personal that really like, hits me in the heart. Because do you remember in the Amazing Spider-Man movies where Andrew was stuttering as Peter Parker and he was doing all of that?
Mhm.
And I stutter. So as I'm watching Amazing Spider-Man, I'm like, oh my god, he stutters. Like, does that mean I can be Spider-Man? Like, with my stuttering words and like just
Mhm.
smart mouthing my villains. And I really just do like how in this movie a lot, even like Doctor Strange, right? Because
Mhm.
everybody had their theories. Remember, I think we talked about it on the podcast once, I think, or we talked about it like in general, where people were like, "That can't be Doctor Strange. That's probably Strange Supreme." And I'm like, we just met him, okay? Strange Supreme is not in this movie. Like Peter came to Doctor Strange with a problem, and he was like, "All right, I'll try and fix it." And I just feel like all of like those kinds of effects really worked out well too.
Mhm.
Like I really just can't get over because I'm trying to replay the movie in my head, and I'm kind of mad about it because I'm like I want to watch it again. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I enjoyed everything, the sets and everything else, and all the actors were really well, and the action was really really good. Um,
So, let's go ahead and wrap this up so we can get on to the good, juicy parts of it. What would you
oh,
say overall, spoiler free, like rating for it? What would you say, for someone who is maybe into comics books, but not a whole lot, just want to see a superhero movie? Do you think this is the movie for them?
spoiler free. Yes, I would. If you don't like comics but you enjoy like if you've seen the previous two, then you got to watch this one. Like if you like Spider-Man, then you've got to see this one. But
Mm-hmm.
um spoiler free rating, I will give it a 9.5, and I will say please go see it. And it's already got the third biggest opening weekend profit so far, so I just want to see those numbers increase, especially since we're at a Panera Bread right now.
Yeah.
And those numbers are really well, and I just really and just really want everyone to see it. I really highly recommend everybody see it because
Yeah,
it was really
I
good.
thought it was good. I thought it was a good way to end, the trilogy, because you had Homecoming, Far From Home, the No Way Home.
Yeah,
Um, so I thought as a whole, like, I think it did it justice. I think, because a lot of times that third movie is going to be so hit or miss
yeah,
that, it could break the franchise. And I thought this one gave us so much more possibilities than we ever could have of imagined. It just depends on which way they go with it. I would say also it's probably like a 9.5 out of 10 for me as well. I would say see it as soon as you can. If you're, into any sort of superhero movie at all, this one is for you. It has all the right action, sequences. And I think it goes about, what it tries to achieve in the movie, successfully. I think it was a good movie. Where we had Endgame, there was a lot of big major plot holes where it's like, okay, like how were they able to do this? Like, what does this even mean? How does this not affect this timeline? This did good. I think there are some unanswered questions, but I think that gives them room to play with, future ideas.